Okay, here we go. What paper planes and empty seats most have in common is that they are best made by children still learning how to ride things out. There is a lot to be said for practice and propellers. Don't sit down for this. Not yet. Everything in turn until we become invisible, like a death do us part party, and even then, dear big britches and elbow grease, ride with me. Sleeves up, top down, wild-eyed and astronomical, the balance of being young still creasing into our laughter lines. Let everyone else refer to themselves as an old soul if that's what they need to smile. But we, the awe-stricken and lightning struck, we know better. Every moment is a brand new baby. Every vow, a brave new voice. Thank goodness your voice still calls me home and work and pickle sticks. As in, the fuck do you say that for, pickle sticks? Please. Let this life be proof we are working for the indestructible source of yes. We are paid well in the ways we arrive at each other, and we rest knowing everything is easy in orbit, not just the sun's sunny buns. This day too, let every last one of our days be proof that don't stop accepting is our only instruction, because we won't stop changing is the only truth. The truth is this universe is gassy and unpredictable. It still has not said excuse me for the Big Bang. Sometimes we expect too much instead of practicing enough or receiving in us just the right answer. You, the staggering answer, the truth is that there is very little difference between a brilliantly written horoscope and a baby mobile shaped like the Milky Way, and there is a day for every last star with exactly the same outcome: us falling asleep side by side in our primetime pillow talk show, maps to the music of midnight, while the rest of the world goes static in mass, magically marked in firefly parts across cinematic patches of looking glass. Look, I do not know if I will be able to love you. I do not know if I will be able to make you happy on the 8th day of our 7th year or on the 4th month of our 3rd decade, because I've never been that far. But you can know for sure I'm already doing my best. You will always have my best. You are the home I point to that lives in my chest. It's true. What children and the landing of a plane most have in common is that they are best made by a line drive of pilot lights guided through a single tambourine across the day we met in a field of wet metal hands on the Gospel of Lightning. Whew. John, I think I've done a few commissioned pieces in my career, and this was one of the few of them. And it was a woman who called me up, wrote to me, sorry, and wanted to commission me to write a poem for her sister's wedding to a gentleman she had been with for 14 years. And I said, well, I don't really do many commission pieces. Can I interview you to see if it's, like, if they're not criminally boring and I can actually be inspired to write something for them? And so we got on the phone, and within the first minute, she said to me, okay, so they met because they were both at the same festival and got struck by the same lightning. And I was like, I'm all fucking in.
Wait. Literally got struck by lightning? Or are you talking about lightning in the bottles and they connected eyes and they felt something?
No, dude, they literally got struck by the same lightning, and
holy shit,
he got least damaged in the situation and took her to the hospital. So it's Robin Mate and her husband Matt, and it's actually like 8 minutes long. I wrote it while I was living with Andrea Gibson in 2015. And the reason I read it tonight is they're still together, which I'm over the moon about. They've actually done a video for it. You can find somewhere on my Instagram feed, not too far back. But today's touchy subject is the ways we avoid intimacy. And I thought that for sure that would be the piece to start with, since I am a champion in avoiding intimacy, but this is one of those places where I put all the love I had into it. So, John,
Yes.
how are you, John Kim?
I'm well. Can you call me Pickle Stick and I will call you Sticky Buns?
I need you to call me Sunny Buns, and I will
Oh, Sunny
indeed call you
Buns.
Pickle Sticks.
I said Sticky Buns because I know you got a love for those pastries and shit. Anyway,
I'm not bullshitting. There is a piece I have called Next Life Soundtrack. Maybe I'll open with it next week.
yes.
But it legit mentions sticky buns. So I got you, dude.
I love in the poem the theme of like I'm not gonna know what I can bring to the table or how I'm gonna feel about you. You know, whatever you said, December 7th, 4 years from now. I love that it's about the here and now. I love that it's about the present. You know, and I think with love, we all make the mistake of wanting the promise. You know, instead of acceptance and being in it. You know.
You're jumping so far ahead of where it took me. It took me a minute to discover that when we realized that this week the touchy subject was going to be on ways to avoid intimacy. I stumbled around with it for 2 days. I'll in a minute I'll get to how this came up for us because of a text you sent me. But what you just said about the now and hey, repeat. So many of us want the
promise. We want
the
the promise,
promise.
the ring, the contract, right? Are we a thing? The label, instead of just
Yeah.
saying this without labeling what this is, let's enjoy it instead of, wanting to put that bow on it and saying that, you know,
And only in the last years am I arriving at that realization and internalizing it. And I'm so happy to hear it every time somebody expresses it out loud. Uh, there's a guy, oh, I'm not going to go dicking around trying to find the exact title right now, but there's an instrumental song. I love instrumental music where they've got some badass psychologist throwing down some legit shit over the music. And this happens to be, I think it's Alan Watts, and he's talking about just admiring, not needing to consume the person you're with.
yeah, that's me. That's
That
me.
the difference between love and lust is, in love, it's just an admiration of being in orbit with them, and lust is a matter of consumption.
Yeah, lust is grabbing, love is holding.
I've often felt that way about the landscape too. I'll be walking. I remember walking with somebody. I know that's a sidestep, but I just remember this moment walking in Golden Gardens in Seattle. I just did everything I could to avoid saying Golden Showers by accident. Walking through Golden Gardens and looking at the landscape and the person I was with, Shona Strausser, one of the loves of my life, she said she couldn't get over how beautiful the landscape was. And I've always agreed, right? Like I've always known nature and the landscape and all of it's beautiful, but I don't feel it in my body like I think some people do.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Some people, for nature, it grounds them, cleanses them. I'm starting to feel it a little bit, but I grew up in the concrete jungle in the city, and I, like you, have always thought it was hokey.
Yeah, I don't. Yes, I don't know that I always thought it was hokey as much as I just like really wanted to put in my body whatever it was getting people off on it so much.
Yeah.
Which may be why I was so attracted to hallucinogens, because they carried me halfway there.
Yeah, I mean, mushrooms is a whole different thing.
And thank goodness for them, man.
So let me ask you this, because this is really interesting, our touchy subject. You run away from intimacy, it seems like. I actually run toward. I tackle intimacy. It's a problem for me because I put it at the top, and when I do that, um, I feel like I can be selfish in that I am, like you said, with lust and the difference between lust and love, that I am grabbing instead of orbiting around and experiencing in the here and now. I want intimacy so much that if I don't get it in the way that I expect it, I hold grudges, and then now it starts to crack that space. So I
Entitlement.
think I'm addicted to intimacy, and I don't know if that's because I have addiction in my blood or because of Disney movies and The Notebook and romance novels. I don't know, but intimacy for me is very at the top of this life of what I want
Okay, but
daily.
thank you for all that. And I don't know, because I'm not I'm not on your path, but I think I believe all the same things about myself, but I'm just discovering that some of it wasn't actually intimacy. And let's get down to the touchy aspect of this touchy subject.
Mm.
But before I do, if you're with us, please feel free to please feel comfortable typing in the chat. Though I don't look at the chat, I'll catch up with it in a bit. Ways that you avoid intimacy, but don't get too distracted here. And I just want to invite you to do that. But stay with us. So the way this started off, I'm going to pull it up. You sent a text, and I think you might have been joking, but it fucking knocked me on my ass like a.
I love it. I love it when that happens.
I was like, wait, did John and I? Because for those who don't know, John is boringly straight, and I am incredibly gay, and so. So I don't know why I had to put boringly in front of straight.
Yeah.
Didn't mean, sorry, John. So anyways, so John and I are really comfortable just talking about anything, even when y'all aren't around.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if I had told John some details about myself, and I couldn't imagine why I would have. I only recently realized that you may have sent this as a joke.
I'm sure it was a joke, but what did I text you? I don't even know.
It was a grid of you answering people's questions online, I believe, and from the Angry Therapist IG, or no, from TikTok, and it says, if you don't want, people are asking you questions, and I think this was one of your answers, or maybe it was one of the questions. If you don't want to be intimate with him, do you just give him blowjobs?
Oh, yes, that came from a different conversation.
You circled it and sent it to me, and I was, and this is, I'm coming out of a.
I was circling the views, but that's funny that that's what captured you, because obviously that activated something in you. So yeah, tell me about blowjobs.
So wait, I'm outing myself. The importance of the kiss got 489,000. But listen, so it says the importance of the kiss got 489.9 thousand views. But I didn't give a shit about the number, because below it, you also have circled the question, if you don't want to be intimate with him, just give him blowjobs?
Yes.
And I was like, wow, that fucking poignant motherfucker getting in my business. So I just got out of, a lot of y'all know I just, we can call it a relapse, but I made the choice to do drugs again after a long period of time. And I'm pretty all or nothing, and I do the worst of the drugs, and I put it in my body the worst of the ways. And it's not a laughing matter whatsoever. And I'm really thrilled to be running as fast as I can toward the light again, and having had a hard check from some best friends. But in that 3 weeks, my drug of choice is, I can't stand saying it out loud to people I don't know, but
croissants.
I'm a crystal methamphetamine addict, and for me, because I'm gay, there was this drug handed to me one time, meth, where it basically said, I will take away all of your sexual inhibitions, your compartmentalized inhibitions, and your shame. I'll make sex absolutely uninhibited. There'll be no shame involved around sex or anything, and I'm going to add euphoria to it. And I was like, I'm fucking in. I'm all
Wait,
in.
is that what it does? I've never tried it. Is that what it does? It basically scrapes shame and.
I mean, in its simplest terms, yeah, that's what it does for a while.
Right.
Until it doesn't.
Yeah.
Until new things get introduced. Like, wait, that's not the point. Here's the point: is that when it does this. And I feel like I had told you this after when we were speaking on such matters, just privately, you and I, and it's why you sent this to me, because I can't back out of this now. And I love giving blowjobs, and I don't really need anything else. And when you sent this to me, I was like, oh, fuck. I've been wrestling with intimacy for the longest time. I want it, like the landscape. I think it's an amazing idea, amazing concept, super beautiful. But I claim to be like this incredibly vulnerable person, such as telling shit tons of people I don't know that I love giving blowjobs. But the truth is, when it gets down to the matter of intimacy, I find ways to sneak out, despite.
Is that one way? So you giving blowjobs, is that a way to not make eye contact and for you to create that distance and to not be intimate with someone, even though there's pleasure there?
Well, I don't know how to break it. I mean, sure, I don't know how to break it down entirely yet. I don't have the catalog of language at hand because this is so new to me. But when you sent the text, I was like, that motherfucker's right.
Yeah.
Like, Angry Therapist just sent me some therapy, and then I realized you were joking, and I didn't have to talk about any of this.
Well. If it wasn't me, it was the universe that kind of
Yeah.
cock blocked what I was really trying to show you, and then showed you what you needed to see. But that whole thing started from a conversation. This is really interesting. I was with my partner Vanessa and her girlfriends, and I don't know how we got on the topic, but we're talking about how um, they can give blowjobs and pretend like they really like it, and the guy will never know. And it's a great way to kind of avoid intimacy. It's a great way to get things over with. It's a great way to go through the motions. And then I thought, man, blowjobs are so intimate. I was like, that what? And so
So,
it threw me for a loop, and I don't know if it works the other way as far as in a hetero relationship, a guy going down on a girl, because that's also very intimate. But as far as a blowjob goes, their point was it's not that it doesn't have to be intimate, and it's a way that many women avoid intimacy, and that's where that video came from. And then it resonated with you, so I guess it's true. Blowjobs
well,
can be a way to avoid
it
intimacy.
resonated with me to the degree that it made me question it because I like it so much that I can literally not need many other aspects of sex.
Right,
And
like
so,
that's all it is.
yeah, but here's the deal. In order to, but I guess that implies a certain level of intimacy because you can't just fake that. You can't just fake
Right,
liking it that much.
right.
Um, but so it got me. That's why I brought this up as a possible touchy subject of the week. I'm sure not glad we went with it, but we're here now. and and I was wondering about all the other ways that I avoid intimacy, and I was
Hmm.
thinking back to my last partner. Um,
Real
and
quick,
first,
in the audience, type in some ways that you avoid intimacy. So obviously, blowjobs is one way of many. What are some ways that you all avoid intimacy? Sorry, go ahead, buddy.
yeah, I feel like there's a bit of a dangling loose end, no pun intended, on on the what you just brought up about blowjobs, where the difference between men and women are concerned. But and we can come back to that. I still need to wrap my brain around an aspect of it, but um, the first thing that came to mind beyond that for me was television.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were both of us had such intimacy issues, and previous to meeting each other, we were neither of us were very obsessed with television. But we spent about a year when we would get off of work and come home, enjoying food together, and then binge watching things, but
Yeah.
never getting down anymore, and being scared of a certain loss of attraction that we were experiencing, but we weren't even trying to salvage it. And
Yeah.
it's a terrifying thing what TV did to us.
That's interesting because that whole like, Netflix and chill thing, um, I think it can be intimate sometimes because sometimes doing nothing with someone is very intimate, right? They're just there next to you. But if you do it like you said, binge watching, then yeah, that can replace intimacy, and suddenly you guys are both focusing on something else, not each other, and just eating a lot of chips.
I
Someone
was
says
wondering,
someone says in the chat. Go ahead, sorry.
no, chips is legit.
Yeah, someone says in the chat, I enjoy intellectual conversations. So it's very easy for me to turn a conversation about my own feelings into a conversation about the concept of feelings. Ooh, as a way to avoid getting real, right? So instead of being vulnerable, being meta about it, talking about vulnerability, then creates the distance, and it can be a shield instead of a bridge for sure. That's real. Thank you for that. It's
And
very very
that's
true.
the shit my sponsor's been calling out in me. Just, he's been, this is a fantastic thing that whoever just wrote that is
Mm-hmm.
talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cover. It's making it look
It's
like you're
smart. It's
really fucking
smart.
vulnerable.
It's a smart cover.
It is. It's making shit look really intimate and vulnerable when in actuality, I am avoiding the use of my body. There are so many aspects of my body I get so terrified about in intimacy. And that's just one of the angles on it. But
Mm.
but this is what my sponsor's been calling me out on is that I've been fronting like a vulnerable man for a very long time, and like someone who is a feedback junkie and doesn't mind being wrong. all these things that I actually do mind. He and in the book it says something. He's basically been pointing out why I keep going on a senseless series of sprees, and has called me names I've never been called before. And from the anonymous book itself, like when I got called over remorseful, I was like, "Fuck you! That is spot on,
Mm.
spot on." Anyway, sorry, I'm sidetracking a little bit here, but and just stop me if you need to. I do want to talk about the tranquility of television, food, weed,
Yeah.
all these things we spent doing with our partner that really distracts from uh, introducing different aspects of our body and spirit together. I'm trying to find a new way to say spirit right now, but
What does true intimacy for you look like? Have you actually experienced it? Because you're saying body, spirit.
there's a moment recently where I was in the act and we were looking each other in the eyes,
Hmm.
and I literally could have looked in their eyes for 24 hours and never gotten bored or looked away, but I didn't
Yeah.
know if it was okay. So, so,
24
so
hours
I,
is a long time.
well, yeah, you get my grandiose aim. But I could have looked at them the entire time in their eyes, and I was so excited. No, actually, I felt so good about it, and then I didn't know, like, God, I don't do that much. Is this creepy? Like,
Well,
is it creepy if I stare too long? And then I realized, well, he's staring back, and he's not turning away, and he seems to be enjoying it. And I finally, because I think I'm the one who's tried to escape my body more in this lifetime, looked away. But the intimacy up to that point was an indeed holy thing, and I would have I hope I become more comfortable staying there without feeling compelled to break it when it's so good, to just stay and to keep running further into the light than continually sabotaging it because I'm concerned with someone else
can
is
you
thinking
can
of me in
you
it.
can you look into someone's eyes, or maybe the person we're talking about, that exact thing but nude, naked?
Well, we were,
Oh, you
we
guys were
were,
naked, and you okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah, that's very vulnerable.
yeah. But I wish I wouldn't have broke it, because I've gotten to experience that so little in my life, just having one-off sex or hookups. To feel that warm is has been a rare thing.
Yeah, eye
Even
contact
partners I've
obviously.
had for a long time, to have that kind of trust for me, because my subconscious generally selects partners who aren't going to hold me to intimacy.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is most people say sex isn't intimate. I think that's partly just because of performative sex, pornography,
Yep.
our lenses, as we grow up in locker rooms and stuff like that. But eye contact, obviously, I think everyone believes eye contact is terrifying and also can be very intimate. Also, I think just like holding hands, touching each other, that isn't sexual, but in the mundane, can be very intimate. A hand on a lap while you're driving, if you're walking with someone, just holding their hand, touching their back. I think things like that can be very intimate moments.
Yeah, you're making me sweat just the idea of walking down the street holding someone's hand.
Why? You've never done that before? That's not you?
Well, you've never been gay before either in Texas, but
Oh, that's more for protection?
I
Yeah.
it's so uncomfortably gay to me. My internalized homophobia goes
Yeah.
straight the mercury rises fast. I would love to be able to do that. And I think something interesting that I'm just discovering in the moment is, as we've been talking about intimacy the entire time, I'm just in the ultimate end result of this subject. So the entire time we've been talking about intimacy, I've only been applying it to sex in my head, and you just brought it into the reality of all the other ways intimacy can exist, such as holding hands, and that's never what crossed my mind. I was just thinking of all the ways I avoid getting intimate during sex.
Right. And that's just one obvious way. And I like to look at things that aren't obvious. I think you're
Like,
very intimate in your poetry.
Well, that's where it all has to be channeled through. I think I'd die like Temple Grandin without a hug machine. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen that movie, Temple Grandin, you're welcome. Temple Grandin, it is a true story about the woman who invented a hug machine for autistic kids.
Hey, let's talk
Or for
about
cows,
why.
for actually for cows first. To be sorry, go on.
Let's talk about why intimacy is important. I'm assuming you are saying that it definitely is an ingredient into having a better life, showing up in a way that is honest, right? Um,
Absolutely.
okay, so I agree with you too. I think intimacy is essential if you want meaning and joy and happiness in your life. So why? Why is intimacy important for anyone listening?
I
If
okay,
for
so here's
anything,
my
a reminder.
here's my stab at it. There's a couple things that come up for me. Why is it important? Because the most important thing, as far as my tiny brain is concerned, that's in existence is all that's in existence, which is the now. Presence, period. Intimacy is presence. Presence is intimacy. The now, and I think there's this moment in the movie Waking Life, and I think it's a scene with Ethan Hawke where he is talking about the now, and he's trying to show somebody that intimacy always exists in the now, and he's calling them to the point of connection in the moment. He calls the person like into the conversation, what's happening right here, right now, you and me, what's really going on, what's emanating within and without us. And then he was like, so like you look at me and I look at you, and we're just present with each other. That's intimacy. And he was like, do you want to try it? And they're clearly uncomfortable. And then there's just this long pause in the movie until the audience is uncomfortable too, or maybe that's just me. but but he's highlighting intimacy, and that's what comes to mind is when I can first, maybe this is what loving yourself means on a more spherical level. When I can consistently reside in the now without necessarily running from it. Not that I'm always trying to run from it, but as I can grow more and more comfortable in the now, which I've been doing for 48 years uh, in very incremental steps, I think that expands the space for someone else to enter it and me get comfortable with them in the moment. And not in just one or two moments here and there, but consistently, always. And I just saw Pete Holmes, the comedian, talking about why about metaphysical stuff on with Stephen Colbert, and excuse me, he was talking. He was saying that there are buffers in the now, like comedy, basically, that allow us a little more space so that we're not always feeling obligated to intimacy, but to feeling the enjoyment that's around that as well.
Yeah.
The comedy puts space, it maintains an intimacy, but puts space between us, an enjoyable space between us. Yeah.
Have you two types of people? Have you met first a type of person who gives you a dead fish for a handshake and they don't look, they just kind of look down, their hunched shoulders, let's say you're meeting someone.
I can't bear it.
I can't bear it either. I want to punch that person in the face. And I know
I
you have
get
a
so mad at their
story.
parents. I get so mad at their parents, dude.
Right, right.
How does your mom never teach you to give a firm handshake?
And
How did they do
then
that?
and then have you met someone who shakes your hand with certainty, looks you in the eye? If they give you a hug, it's a hug, right? It's not a side hug, but it's a fucking hug. And they time stops, and they're like, "How are you, man? How are you doing?" What, like, they're very giving you their undivided attention. Have you met that kind of person?
And everyone falls in love with them.
Yes, yes. And so here's why I believe intimacy is important, because it's that. It's not the dead fish handshake. It's not the hiding. It's not the walking through this life like a leaf and invisible. I believe that life is about the human exchange. And if there is no intimacy, if there is only blowjobs on this planet, buddy, we're not going to hit the high notes, man. We're just going to be just doing a lot of things together. That's all.
That one's
And,
accepted
and
too.
there may be pleasure. Because obviously, right, there may be pleasure in activities, whether we're riding dirt bikes or giving each other blowjobs, eating chocolate croissants, whatever. But without the intimacy piece, it's very black and white. It's not in color. And I think it goes also to presence, to meditation, to mindfulness, to nectar, to joy, all of that stuff. Without
I
without intimacy, man, it's just it's Pleasantville. It's not in color.
and thank you for my own trajectory, which involves constantly recurring, sometimes newly founded, always aimed at surrender to God, higher power, however you like to word it. Um, it's trusting in that surrender. Hey, let me make it simple. When someone tells you they love you, believe them. My
Hmm.
friend Mongo said that to me one time. When someone tells you they love you, believe them. And I feel excited for that to happen again. It's been a while. I
Yeah.
mean, in an intimate way, I feel really excited for that to happen again, to just believe them that they're not mad at my fat rolls, that they're not mad at my creases, that they're it and not looking for that contract, that that ring, none of it, just being in orbit and admiring them, believing they love me because I'm clearly there and feeling it too.
Yeah.
And they believe me and not sabotaging it. That's so important for me to get to experience intimacy on my next go around
Yes.
with regards to another person.
You know, when people say "I love you" in this world, we usually say it back, and we say it back too fast. I love you. I love you too. And there
Mm-hmm.
isn't that beat like you're saying. There isn't, because that with that beat comes the belief. And usually we say "I love you" back fast as a shield. We say it because it makes us feel uncomfortable. We say it because we feel like we owe them something, instead of believing that we are loved and we deserve this love. That's hard, right? So if someone says "I love you," giving yourself a beat without leaving the room, giving yourself a beat and just kind of sitting there is intimate. To me, that's more intimate than saying "I love you" back really fast, because you're hitting the ball back way too fast.
I'm imagining saying it to someone. My ex actually was a brilliant man who thought before he spoke, and I'm actually imagining saying "I love you," and him sitting there and saying it back and knowing he meant it.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He was never the kind of person to overuse, which my family was, and that's no ding on my family. It's just what you're saying is exactly what we did. It's just a constant exchange. But I remember when he would do it, there was a comprehensiveness to it, and I remember doing pulling out laundry, pulling off of the dryer laundry he had folded and putting it away, and there was a note slipped between it. And it just said Buddy W, as if I needed to know my last initial. It just said Buddy W, I will love you forever.
Mm.
And it was just slipped between the folded clothes. And
That's intimate
boy,
to
that means
me.
a lot. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, love notes and stuff like that that are not obvious or unexpected. When you encounter those are very intimate, honest moments.
It,
S-
it
So,
was. That's part of. So pause there for a second because I get so overwhelmed in the feeling I get from that when I was in the moment and it happened. That the first thing I do is think about how I can best give that back, how I can reflect all the excitement and something I think he was good at, and other people who are jamming with intimacy experientially. I think had it been him that discovered a note and I had written it, I think he would have just received it and let
mm,
it stop right there. Not out of like not wanting me to have it back, but just accepting the joy that I did that and receive it as intended for him to know I love him completely. And whereas I was like, oh my God, that feels too good. I got to do something with it.
yeah, and I gotta go write his name in the sky. I gotta do something
Yeah.
bigger. So
Yeah.
let me ask you that. Why do you think he has that ability? Because I think it has to do with his relationship for himself.
It is. So I have a lot of thoughts on this, and this could get way out there. But I'll say one that came up while I was thinking about intimacy and the fact that I've tried to escape my body my whole life, largely because I just didn't want to be gay. But I think people also. I came from really. I'll be nice to all of us in the fam. I came from a very portly fam. I came from a very big boned fam, many of whom wore muumuus because they couldn't fit into anything else. Excuse me. So, I believe that people, and my ex was just a stunning Marlboro man, didn't have to work out, 8-pack kind of guy. And I really believe that people who the narrative works for, who are symmetrical, who have always given that hug because it was either because they got good information from their folks, or who've always, they give that hug or that handshake and people fall in love with them immediately. Dude, like the partner we're talking about, Steven, he would walk home. We owned a landscaping company, and he would walk up the driveway, and every animal in the place, like he was a magnet. We owned tons of chickens and geese and dogs and cats. They would all be drawn to him like a magnet. He would walk down the driveway, and I would too. I mean, I was among them. And there was just a symmetry about him that I don't think he ever had to contend with certain elements of wanting to escape his body, and there was a safety that he got from his body. And so I think
it's
that
a
plays
physical thing.
I really believe in the same way, we discuss nature and nurture on homosexuality, or there's so many things that are nature and nurture, and I believe it's a combination. And when the narrative works for somebody who likes their body, and they never have to worry about escaping it because they feel safe in it, there is an untold positive domino effect that is expansive in the way that the rich get richer. And unfortunately for people who aren't, it contracts and the poor get poorer and spin out into disease and other things. And now this is me going in a cellular level and taking a stab at what I've observed in my own experience.
Yeah. So also, if you are aesthetically attractive in this world, you get a lot of praise from a young age, and you get
And from those
special treatment.
And at that young age, and in that developmental period, even like very young, if you'll notice, I think a lot of people go, he got it all, or she got it all. Like, not only is she hot, but she got this and this and this. That wasn't the package born. What happened was they got what they came here with, and because of the positive feedback, because of the symmetry, because of the comfort and the safety, there are things happening on a cellular level that we can't see, that domino into each other, that cause that full package, that cause these elements to play off of each other. Says me, only by intuition.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but here's my challenge to you. There's also a lot of beautiful people, aesthetically beautiful models in this world, who do not like themselves and who feel that they're very ugly.
Right, and so then you have to go deeper, like into their lineage, even the close one, like their parents or their parents' parents, who had all the things that I was just attempting to spell out, who had all those things, but this person that you're talking about, who internally isn't so, is reversing that domino effect because of their own experiences.
Right.
Does that land? Do you
Yeah,
understand where I'm going with that?
I think for me, the people that are able to accept something like an "I love you" without a shield, and they love themselves, not in an arrogant, narcissistic way, but in a kind of a compassionate, genuine way, and so they're able to receive more instead of feeling very oh my god, that's weird, what do you mean you love me, or and so they either try to be funny, or they do it, I'm gonna love you harder, or whatever it is, or feel like they owe someone something. But just to accept, whether it is love, or a gift, or an orgasm, whatever it is that someone is giving them, for them to feel that they
I'm so excited to continually keep stepping into that higher self of mine that you're explaining right now, and that I think is a lot of people's higher self.
yeah, I
Ideal.
think everyone struggles with it. Yeah.
I think we can step into it, and witnessing each other in talks like this, I think, is how it happens. Just to know we're not alone,
Yeah.
and it's scary as
Yeah.
fuck, and to just keep inching our way into that goodness that we actually wish to verifiably feel, and not only feel but be able to give to others.
It's a great note to end on, and I want to read something to you, buddy. This is from someone in the chat. Buddy, I saw you once in real life in London, maybe 10 or more years ago. The one thing that struck me was your awkwardness and discomfort on stage, but you still chose to share. That feels like a form of shared intimacy to me. I've got to say that not a week goes by where I don't remember that show.
Huh. Well, thank you. There's been
Wait, take a beat before you say thank you. Take a beat. Don't hit the ball back yet. If that is a compliment to you, accept it first as a practice.
well, yes, it turns out to be a compliment. The first half of it gives me sweeping anxiety because I spent most of my career awkward on stage. I spent most of my life awkward. Awkward has not had trouble hanging out with me.
Can I say
I've had
something real
trouble.
quick about your awkward? Because you talk
Oh,
about
God damn it.
no,
Yeah.
you talk about like the way you walk,
Uh-huh.
and I noticed that, and to me, I just say, oh, that's Buddy. I think I think your quote unquote awkward isn't awkward. I think it's what makes you unique. I think what makes you, go from
Well, the next time I'm awkward with somebody, I'm just gonna go, that's something unique about me.
it is. It's going from snowball to snowflake, buddy. And if you didn't walk that way, or if you weren't awkward on stage, I think you would be lukewarm. I think the way that you are is what makes you uniquely you.
Thank you. You've known me in recent years. I've been touring since I've been on stages for poetry since 1998, and you've just known me in these last years when I've more consistently shown up. I'm so much more confident in my work. I feel like my work is enough. I don't need to bring extra banter and weird shit to the stage.
Yeah.
Whereas I used to, try and fill space between poems because I didn't feel like poetry was enough to carry a show.
No more
And in
juggling.
recent years, I've recognized that what I write and how I show up on stage is enough, and the energy I bring is yeah, energy I want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking 10 years ago in London, and just 10 years ago in general, I really I can really imagine what that. I would say 3 out of 5 shows I brought an energy that I wanted to run from the stage, because I expected certain kinds of. If I wasn't getting certain kinds of feedback, I made up that people were bored, or not bored. I don't think people have ever been bored around me, but I just made up that they weren't.
Satisfied or didn't like it or whatever.
In the slam community, it's like gospel church without the guilt, and you're going to get some feedback, and people are going to be getting down and clapping and snapping and doing their thing. And when you're just on tour, people who come to see a spoken word show don't know that they're allowed to do that, so they sit there with arms folded sometimes. And if I'm in the front of the room and I'm seeing people, not know what to do with their bodies, or holding back, or it's just whatever the night brings. Yeah, it used to make me awkward. Or if it was in a bar, or I was competing with an espresso machine, or people were walking around in the middle of me saying, "I no longer need you to fuck me," as hard as I hated myself. Like there were things where I couldn't control the room, and I would kind of freak out inside. But in recent years, I've just gotten so comfortable with. I think the last probably 4 or 5 years on tour, I felt so strong. But I recognized quickly what that person is, that the brand of awkwardness they're talking about, and all I knew. So thank you for bringing it home for me that even at my worst, I was doing all right, because the message got across, and the vulnerability got across, and hopefully somebody felt witnessed, because I've always I've always brought the words in the poetry that I was proud of, no matter whether or not I was proud of myself in the moment.
You love you leave the juggling balls at home now because of your confidence. I love that there's a character arc, man. I love that you noticed from 10 years ago to now that you have changed. And so for me, that resonates. And for me, it was the guy with the I call them Marky Marks, the furrows, and always angry, hence my username, and dreading, just a fucking negative person. That was me 10 years ago, and today I still feel the residue of that, but I feel like I also definitely have shed a lot of that, but that came from being miserable. So that's my character arc, which is different than yours, but we're both evolving and growing and trying to be better, which I
Dude,
can really
and I'm so glad we didn't know those former selves of each other because I really
Well,
like.
you wouldn't have been my friend. You would have been like, dude, that guy's just fucking angry and
Yeah,
dark, and who? Well, he doesn't talk to anyone. You know, I think
LA
at the
happened right on time. The
yeah,
CrossFit mindset when we met happened. The night that I moved to Los Angeles, I put my bags down in my new apartment and I went to CrossFit mindset in Los Feliz to sign up immediately. And John Kim was the second person I met. The first person was your business partner who introduced me to you the moment he found out I'd gotten back from meditation.
oh, I didn't
We
know
got
that.
a discount.
Wow, I remember meeting you. I didn't know that I was the second person that.
Yeah, I came in there. I met Alan. Alan immediately introduced
Yep.
me to you. Yeah, and that's when you were leading the cross. And then I wrote home and I was like, of course, I picked the one. I found the one CrossFit in the world that has a weekly group therapy,
Yeah, yeah, that's how Buddy and I met. And look, we're now doing the weekly group therapy online. Well,
which led to a million serendipities.
yeah,
I know we're running out of time, John. We didn't do our revelations this week, and I'm glad to save mine to talk to you about it later because I think it might be good for a touchy subject next week. And it's about admiring. It's about the people who reject us.
great. We'll use that as a commercial so they come back next week. The next week's topic and touchy subject will be about people who reject us, something we can all relate to. But hey, here's some homework because I think what we're talking about today is really important. How can you be intimate this week that is, not terrifying, because if it's terrifying, you're not going to do it, but just uncomfortable, right? How can you show up? And it doesn't have to be with your intimate partner. It could be to a friend. It could be to your boss. How can you be intimate this week, right? It could be 3 seconds added to eye contact. It could be a firm handshake. It could be someone giving you a compliment and actually you taking a beat and absorbing it before responding, right? So it could come in those moments. Intimacy, because when we say intimacy, people just assume clothes are off and people are having sex, and that's
Which is what I did. Which is what I did from the
which is
get-go.
also probably the most common way to not be intimate is actually fucking. you know,
Shit.
and I want to challenge not only Buddy but other people too. If you do happen to be giving a blowjob, see if you can do it intimately. Let's stop faking shit. No more forcing things. Be mindful. Take your time. Circle your tongue the other way. I don't know. All right.
Or just shit. I can't say anything more. Let's end it before I say some shit.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out and be well.
Bye everybody.
Bye.
See you next week.